When a diagnosis of dementia is given to somebody, it's not just given to that person, it's given to their whole family, to their friends, and may also impact on their surrounding community. So it can have a number of consequences. I think often families are find it very difficult to understand and know how to change, how to adapt, how to support that person best. For people who are caring for people with dementia, we know that there are much greater risk of things like stress, anxiety, depression. People can feel quite isolated. There's still a lot of stigma around dementia, so carers often feel they can't talk to their neighbours, they can't talk to their family. So people do get quite isolated. And as a result of that, then things can break down. So if carers are not getting the right support and not addressing their own feelings of loss, guilt, perhaps embarrassment about the person changing, then things can escalate to a point where they become depressed, they get more anxious, and then that impacts on the person they're caring for.
The nature of the illness in being chronic, long-term, a difficult and unpredictable illness, and we know that the people are going to get worse. There's a lot of negative emotions associated with that, but I think along the way people can also have positive experiences. They can care for somebody well. They can still have quality of life and enjoy activities together, have enjoyable experiences, share that with the family as well as each other. So it isn't all a negative experience, but it's about people learning to live positively with dementia, about carers and also the person with dementia having awareness of what they're going through, where they can, and being able to explore those emotions, talk about how they're feeling, what their fears are, what they're worried about.
Don't know what's coming tomorrow. Maybe it's trouble and sorrow, but we'll travel the road, sharing our load, side by side.
Well, my husband is 86 and he was diagnosed in 2003 when he was 74. So I've got quite a lot of experience of caring. He had an early diagnosis because we were both worried about his memory. But being a dentist, he had a bit of medical training and thought, I need to go and find out about this. So we had a diagnosis quite clearly early on, and it was actually a bit of a relief because I thought now it's the disease that's causing his behaviour. It's not being all the repetition that I'm getting from him and the behaviour that is driving me mad. He's not being bloody-minded. It's the illness.
It's changed my life completely. I mean, before Joan had dementia, I knew nothing about kitchens and what I couldn't switch on a washing machine, a cooker, a microwave, nothing. I didn't do anything in the kitchen whatsoever. But since Joan has got dementia, I've had to do it all. I've had to learn how to do it and all that. And I think I'm doing quite well with it. But you in cases like that, you have to, because Joan just cannot do it now. So somebody's got to do it. And we've been married for 63 years. She's looked after me all them years. Now I'm returning it.
It alters your entire life because you're entirely given over to looking after someone who's not able to look after themselves. So it alters your entire life the minute you've had the diagnosis. That's a complete change of life. Instead of going out to maybe to see an exhibition of some kind which Vic didn't want to see, I mean, I didn't do anything like that afterwards. But it was quite clear. I mean, we're both the same age. We were in our 80s then. When he died, he was 90, and so I mean, I wasn't dashing about London.
In retiring in 2003, being at home more, I noticed how odd her behaviour had become, and more so than I would have noticed evenings and weekends and so on. So it got very, very difficult, and there was a lot of aggravation and you know, misunderstanding. And it wasn't until about 2 years on that when my GP came in for another reason, mentioned the behaviour, and she said, oh, that's the dementia. And it was, well, we were dismayed, but then kind of, well, and now we know there's a reason, and Mum can't help it, or so we learnt. You know, she couldn't help her extremes of behaviour and irrationality and so on. So we and my brother had to learn to kind of cope, but not easily. It was a hard ride, a very hard ride over the next few years.
I gave my word to my husband, and I say, I will always look after you till your last day, which I did. And, you know, he died in front of me in my arms, and, you know, I was very, very, very happy that I was there with him, and he was talking to me because he was a musician. You know, he remembered he was a musician, and he wanted me to be happy, because when he was not well, you know, I was very unhappy as well, because you're going to work and looking after him. I was very tired, but nevertheless, it was my duty to look after him.
One of the continuing difficulties was incontinence, and that really tried me to my limit sometimes. Getting Vic undressed, putting him in the shower, clearing it up was very, very, I found that really difficult, really tough. But we were very fortunate, because Vic was always a very sweet character, and he was never awkward or violent. He loved listening to music, and for a long time he used to always come and listen to us playing. And I think, with hindsight, we should have had some singing with other friends.
He kept forgetting about things, you know, and one time I was coming from work, and he had a bag in his hand, and he was going shopping, and I was shocked to see him outside, and he was not even dressed. And I said, where are you going? He said he's going shopping, and he don't usually do the shopping. I'm the one who always do the shopping. And I said, no, you're not going shopping. He didn't even know where he was. And it's really broke my heart, because being such a very clever and well-educated man to go down, you know. And I said, no, we're going home. And, you know, he started crying, and, you know, I was in tears as well, but I knew what was wrong with him. And sometimes, you know, I say, come in the kitchen, and because he was a very good cook, and he'll come and help me. And then he forgot. He said, what I'm doing, you know, what I'm putting. And I say, you got to do this, you know, you got to. And I knew that he was gradually going down.
Particularly when she broke both wrists. She couldn't wash herself, she couldn't dress herself. And I mean, even now she has difficulty in dressing herself. I have to do most of it. And it's completely changed my whole life. My life now is Joan, yeah? I mean, I've given up a lot of things. I mean, I used to play very high standard bowls, yeah? And to play bowls, I had to be away for 4 hours. There's no way I could leave Joan for 4 hours. So I've had to resign from that.
Going to the shops, I realised quite early on that he couldn't handle change, which is quite a normal thing. He was using his credit card to pay for 2 bananas and a cup of a pint of milk, and then not paying the credit card bill. So those sort of things happened.
with the consultants or whoever, Mum became extremely screamy and fighting, and the poor people didn't know what hit them, nor did I. But she, from a calm, peaceable, very able to cope person, she'd become a terrified child, if you like, or up to defend herself no matter what, because people were out to harm her.
The most important thing I think any carer can do is to look after yourself, because if you go under, then you're no help to them. So things that I do for my own personal self are I swim, and I can swim early in the morning when he's still in bed. And I've got a card that says, "Don't try and shower without me, I'll be back." Because I now stay at home quite a lot more, I do sewing. Around the house you'll see quite a lot of cushions that I've done with tapestry. But also I did join the Alzheimer's Society. We go out to Singing for the Brain, we go to Dementia Cafe, and I go to a carer support group. For me, that's really important. The carer support group it's an opportunity where you can have a moan if you want, with people who understand what you're going through.
Coping would be to say, tell yourself not to beat yourself up, and that you will never feel at ease with your own attitudes if you have not managed to be sweet and charming and understanding at all times. But you just have to know that nobody in the world can cope with dementia in a positive way, a happy and cheery way all the time. And you just have to realise that it's okay to go and thump the pillow or to let off steam to someone else.
I feel very, very upset. I was very upset. I was crying. I couldn't believe it's such a person that, you know, had everything and was a musician, you know, had this dementia, you know, and it was very hard for me going to work and looking after him. But sometimes he tended to lose his temper because he was a very sick person. So I sit down with him and I explain to him, you know, what the, you know, impact happening on my own life, and going to work and looking after him. And he was so sad as well, and he said to put him in a home. And I said, no, I will never do that. I will never put you in a home, because, you know, I will look after you. He said, it's too much for you, you know, and you're tired. And I said, no, I didn't see him, the emotion that I was on, you know, and I was crying and all that, you know, and I hide from him. And I said, no, I will look after you till the last day. I will never put you in a home.
Well, I've been told by the memory clinic and both my daughters that I must not give up what I do. In fact, they was annoyed that I gave up bowls, but I managed to get a swim in every week, which keeps me fairly fit, yeah, to take care of her. I mean, I take Joan to Sotheby's and all her friends are there, yeah, so I know she's safe. Then I can go for my swim, do a bit of shopping, and whatever I've got to do, that is my time. But the rest of the time, 24/7, I'm next to Joan.
We were always together, but he was no longer the old companion that I knew. He was a much quieter, less responsive person. If Vic was sleeping, I would go out into the garden or read. But I didn't leave him alone in the house. He would have been frightened, I think.
There is a lot of support, but it's about knowing what services are out there. So it's quite important to link in with local services early on, look for information on the internet, and find out what's going on in people's local areas. Some people like to seek support, chat with other people online. There are websites that do that. Some people prefer the helplines, talking to people or having face-to-face contact. So there is a variety of support in various forms that are available to people.
Practical support might be getting some support from services. It might be somebody to come and sit with a person that you normally care for, so that you can go out to the shop, so that you can go and meet your friends for a coffee, so that you can keep your activities going. It might be around other things like how do I respond when this person is behaving in a certain way. So that understanding of how to cope, how to care is really important. It might be accessing, for the person with dementia themselves, encouraging them to engage in activities through attending dementia cafes, or if there's day services available, so that they feel that they're still engaged and occupied and they have a sense of purpose. But as a carer, often you need emotional support as well. So we would really recommend that you talk to people, that you seek support. That might be from your family and friends, but sometimes having somebody who's external to the family network is really helpful. So that might be through a helpline such as Admiral Nursing Direct, which is staffed by dementia specialist nurses who support families, who can be there to listen, who understand and know how it feels. It might be accessing counselling if you're feeling that you're not coping and that you're experiencing stress or anxiety, or you're feeling very low. Actually seeking counselling from a trained counsellor, or from a specialist, from an Admiral nurse working in the community, or through mental health services. So there may be access to psychology services if you're really struggling. It depends on who the person is, but also the kind of the stage that they're at. And there are different needs at different points of the journey for people. So in earlier stages, when you've just received a diagnosis, the support you might need might be very different from the support you might need when the person with dementia, for example, their behaviour changes, or perhaps they start having problems with eating and drinking, or with continence. You might need some very practical advice about how do I manage this situation. And then equally, as people come towards end of life, the needs again change. So you need expertise from people who know how to recognise that things are deteriorating.
It's difficult when somebody has dementia. It can be unpredictable, no day's the same, but where you can establish a routine and build in time for yourself, then it's important to do so. And I think looking after yourself as well, making sure you're eating properly, sleeping properly, getting exercise, all things that will help keep you healthy. It's important, and not to neglect those needs.
I wished I'd known a lot earlier that there was so much information about dementia.
There should be much more music, I think, in the life of someone with Alzheimer's.
Reading is good. Watching television is good. I mean, people moan about telly, but I think there are a lot of good programmes on television. And my best television watching, if I'm watching a play or a series or something, I'll record it and I can watch it when he's not there, because I can enjoy it more when he's gone to bed.
Well, to try and keep them happy. I mean, and try and get them to do things.
People that, you know, going through to what I went through, you know, to get the support and help and make friends with other people, and, you know, go to association that deal with dementia and all that, because, you know, it's very, very stressful for people to go through all this.
So a final tip for carers who are caring for people with dementia would be to reward yourself, to give yourself that time to go out and keep up with your activities, to be able to read, to watch the television programmes that you like to watch, to have a bit of space. Those things are really important, to just look after yourself, and by doing so then you'll also be looking after the person with dementia.